Alrighty, so a while back we did a video on Nick Fuentes' endorsement of Laura Loomer, so I figure it's probably a good idea for us to go ahead and take a look and see how everything is going on that front, so that we're, you know, up to date on recent political. This one is from Panda Cat. Said, sorry for the low quality dual discs. Suris versus Yami Suris. I'll let you pick which is which. RR, you fucking monster. Just, they're ready to fight. Which decks do you think they would use? I think regular Suris would use Heraldic Beasts, and then evil Suris would use Magnet Warriors. The next one we have here is from Aurelius. Said, I have finished the Chibi Batgirl Suris. Aww. Lucky. These ears could echolocate so many things. The next one we have here is from Rosie Goggles. Said, oof, I forgot how to do the makeup on the last version of this picture. It definitely looks less creepy now. And we have an update on that as well. It's gonna eat. It's gonna eat. Sarah Gigarita, thank you for redeeming your points for an Ada, you fucking degen. With that said, as always, everybody, thank you all for your fan art submissions. If you want your fan art to be shown in a future video, the best way to do so is to drop to the fan art section of the Discord. With that said, if you haven't hit the subscribe button or the bell notification icon, please consider doing so. Those things help out the channel more than you could ever know. There's also a Patreon, but I'm not going to plug that one right now. Instead, we are going to listen.
I think.
Nope. Well, that already gave it away. That already gave it away. This is the person Laura Loomer wants in Congress. You know, Alex. Alex joins no. Here, let's take a listen.
I think MTG was dangerous. I can't wait till you're in Congress, but we got to push it over the top here.
Yeah, and Alex, hopefully, you know, when I win my election and I become the first deplatformed candidate in United States history, you know, I would love to serve on the House Energy Commerce Committee in Congress so that I can take on the big tech social media tyrants. And I would love to personally invite you to testify in Congress. You know, since you, as well as myself, we are probably the two most censored and banned individuals in the entire country, if not the entire world.
Entire country, if not the entire world. I'm sorry, Steven Anderson probably has some words about entire world. Dude's banned in at least 34 countries. I mean, if you don't believe me, maybe look up Steven Anderson Rule 34. Anyways.
And I look forward to platforming your voice in the United States Congress. When I can't wait.
Well, why do
you ever think this is why Alex Jones does what he does? Because the people he endorses for Congress are stupid enough to endorse him. And then you're not falling for that one twice. You fell for it once? Holy shit. So what an oppression kink? Yeah, there's an aspect of this. There's an aspect of this where, like, people are just going, I am oppressed. I am censored. You have no idea what I've gone through. Like, it's just that over and over again. So Shade Dragon says, deplatformed, honey, you're all over mainstream news, belly aching. We'll get to that. But Laura Loomer wants to platform Alex Jones in Congress. Why? Why? Why would you think that that's a good idea? Why would you think that a conspiracy theorist who can't tell you jack shit about anything without freaking out about needing to sell you his vitamins and gold, why would you think that that's a person, that used car salesman attitude of a person, needs to have a legitimate voice in United States politics? Like, I don't think that I should be in Congress. I don't. I'm a cartoon cat girl on the internet voiced by a guy. I don't need to be anywhere near United States Congress. I need to be right here where I am, saying cringy anime catchphrases. That's what I need to do. Maybe Alex Jones should know his place, too.
Do you think they singled, because it really is true, you and I out? You're like, man, from Uber, Airbnb, myself included. Why did they pick you and I up front 4 years ago to do that too?
So let's see here. Naki Bree, thank you very much for redeeming your points for an owl. Alex, do you know why you were deplatformed from everything? Everyone everywhere pretty much unanimously agreed that you as an individual were dangerous to have on their platforms. You were dangerous to service. That's why. Like, the misinformation you spread on the internet, the voices that you platform, the actions you partake in, the families you harass, all of them unilaterally have led to you being deplatformed in the way that you have. And yet somehow you've still made millions of dollars. Like, remember, Alex Jones, during a CPAC event, can make $800 million a day. 800,000, I think, No, 800,000, not 800 million. Was it 800,000? I think it was 800,000. Yeah, 800,000, not 800 million. Why the fuck did I say 800 million? 800,000. I'm using wrong math. But 800,000 a day. You know what I could do with 800,000? You know what I could do with that? I would eliminate every debt I have, and then I would grab every single artist that I have and go, hey, would you like full-time living wage for literally the next year without, any questions asked? Like that's a thing I could do with that kind of money. That's a very enticing amount of money. Said fix your muffler. I could fix my muffler. I could do that. But no, like, I fail to see how there's any question as to why the things that happened to Alex happened to Alex.
Because we're truth seekers and we're ahead of the curve. I think that you and I really...
Because they're truth seekers and they're ahead of the curve. You know what that sounds like to me? This sounds like the Joker from freaking Chris Nolan's Batman. I'm not crazy. I'm just ahead of the curve. Said truth seekers like Project Veritas. Yep. These are the type of people who truth seek by combing through every legitimate source on Google Scholar, giving up, and then finding like a random bullshit tabloid and using that.
Have been trailblazers, especially when it comes to waking people up about big tech social media censorship. And we are probably the best. I would say we are the best journalists in America today.
Alex Jones, harasser of Sandy Hook victims, noted best journalist in the United States. I want off this planet. This planet is very inconvenient for me.
The best investigative journalist alive.
I would value Tim Pool's investigative journalism over y'all's. Holy shit. He's being sued for the shit said on his show. How the fuck is he a good journalist? But you see, they believe wholeheartedly that they are... If he gets sued for it, there's a persecution narrative that he gets to use now. The idea that he, Alex Jones, is being wrongfully deplatformed and... Well, it lets the victim narrative continue. But, let's fast forward a few days. Let's see where all that confidence got you.
We are losing our country because of big tech election interference. And I am pleading with the Republican Party to please start taking this issue seriously. Please. Because the American people deserve representation. And that's why I ran for Congress in 2020. It's why I ran for Congress in 2022. And it's why I'm going to keep fighting for all of you. I'm never going to...
So, what is this little video in reference to? What do you think this is? Well, I'll go ahead and let you know. She lost. She lost by a landslide. Let's go ahead and get into the article. Florida GOP primary loser Laura Loomer cries fraud. I'm not conceding because I am a winner.
I'm not conceding because I'm a winner, and the reality is our Republican Party is broken to its core.
That it's painful. I can't do that. That hurt. Why does she look greasy? Because those are all the fake tears running down her face. Far-right extremist Lauren Loomer refused to concede her Florida Republican primary defeat to Representative Daniel Webster, who was also a Republican, mind you, because it is the primary, on Tuesday after coming surprisingly close to an upset. Webster, a six-term incumbent who served for 3 decades in the Florida legislature, narrowly edged out Loomer, a far-right activist and self-described proud Islamophobe, banned from most social media and payment platforms for spreading election lies and attacks on Muslims. So I guess it's not really a landslide she lost in. It's not that. Loomer broke down in tears during a speech to supporters Tuesday night and refused to concede after losing by 6 points. I'm not conceding because I'm a winner, Loomer declared, pushing baseless allegations of election fraud. We are losing our country to big tech election interference, and I am pleading with the Republican Party to please start taking this issue seriously because the American people deserve representation. Here's Laura, according to Mike DeFrost, here's Laura Loomer an hour before her I'm not conceding speech.
I love it. Laura, do you know how huge we are right now? You went up against a city.
Oh, it's loading.
How huge we are right now? You went up against a city. With a name recognition off the chart.
I know, but a win's a win and a loss is a
You're
loss.
gonna win, but
No.
this is
You
huge.
are our next congresswoman. You are. It is. I know, but we're telling you, we're like literally 100 votes. I'm not even worried.
A win is a win, and a loss is a loss. A win is a win, and a loss is a loss, and then when she loses. Despite citing zero evidence to back up her claims, Loomer supporters pushed similar allegations of fraud based only on the rate at which ballots were counted. Loomer, who was previously backed by former President Donald Trump in a 2020 race for a different congressional district that she lost by 20 points, is the latest Trump ally to refuse to accept defeat in her party's own primary. Mesa County clerk Tina Peters, who was indicted for election tampering, refused to concede her Secretary of State primary defeat despite finishing third and biked supporters out of hundreds of thousands to pay for a recount that confirmed her loss. Fellow Trump ally Joey Gilbert similarly made baseless fraud allegations after his defeat and filed a lawsuit that was immediately dismissed by a judge over total lack of evidence. Bubbly Sense, thank you for the follow. Why does her face look like a mask? Plastic surgery. Loomer has been one of the more high-profile far-right provocateurs of the Trump era, rubbing shoulders with former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and attending a Trump fundraiser at Mar-a-Lago. But her racist rhetoric and attack on Muslims have gotten her booted from most online platforms, not unlike the former president. Loomer has been banned by social networks Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Medium, payment platforms like PayPal, Venmo, and GoFundMe and Chase, and ride-sharing apps like Uber and Lyft. She was even banned by the Conservative Political Action Conference, CPAC, which regularly welcomes extremists. Loomer, in 2017, expressed her support for ethno-nationalism, declaring herself pro-white nationalism while bashing left-wing globalist Marxist Jews. I want to check the source for that. I want to check that.
You are about ethno-nationalism. I think we talked about this earlier.
Right.
You basically said in your words, and you can kind of elaborate here.
Right.
You identify as a civic nationalist right now.
Well, yeah, but I don't oppose ethno-nationalism, right? Like, I'm a Jew and I'm pro-Israel, and I would be a hypocrite if I were to say that I was against ethno-nationalism, because Israel is an ethno-state and it's a great country. It's a great place. I totally support ethno-nationalism. Someone asked me, are you pro-white nationalism? Yes, I'm pro-white nationalism, but there's a difference between white nationalism and white supremacy, right? And a lot of...
No, there's not. No, there's not. I'm sorry. I'm just going to go ahead and say right now, no, there is not. Go ahead, if you're in my comment section when this video goes up on YouTube, try to explain to me the difference between ethno-nationalism and white supremacy. White nationalism and white supremacy. Because in practice, white supremacy and white nationalism end up operating the same way. If you are a white supremacist, then you believe various things, including the supremacy of white people, and the fact that a nation would be better if it were mostly or even all the way comprised of white people, because they're just simply better, right? Oh no! We're back to nationalism! We're there again! So the criteria for white... change, yeah, like what makes a white person changes based on what's convenient.
Liberals and left-wing globalist Marxist Jews don't understand that. It's really not a hard concept to understand that white nationalism and white supremacy are not the same thing, right? So this country really was built
So they are the same thing, because even though you can describe them differently, the ways in which they are practiced manifest in the exact same ways. If you are a white nationalist, you are going to be exhibiting a shit ton of white supremacy traits, because those white supremacy traits are what led you to be a white nationalist. And if you are a white supremacist, you will naturally lean into white nationalism, because it's that cycle. It's the same thing on both ends.
As a white Judeo-Christian ethno-state, essentially. Over time, immigration, and all these calls for diversity, it's starting to destroy this country. I don't oppose people who say that they want to have their own ethno-state, or I don't see anything wrong with white nationalism. But you need effective leaders, people who aren't Richard Spencer, people who aren't James Alsop, to effectively convey that message, because you guys may not see it in your own echo chamber, but like for other people who are witnessing this, they give off this very cringy, anti-Semitic, white supremacist vibe, whether or not you guys want to admit it or not.
They give off anti-Semitic vibes. Meanwhile, I'm going to talk about globalist Marxist Jews. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on! Yeah, I know she's Jewish, and yet... a black person can be racist against black people, a white person can be racist against white people, and a Jewish person can be an anti-Semite. These are known things.
I'm telling you right now that as a Jew, I'm totally in favor of ethno-nationalism, and I don't have a problem with you guys wanting to have a white ethno-state, but your leadership sucks.
G-bus creased. Back to the article itself. Let's go back to where we were. Oh wait, no, it's this way. This way. Aha. She repeatedly attacks Muslims on social media before getting banned. She says, "I never want another Muslim entering this country ever again." That's what she tweeted in 2017. After being banned by the social platform, Loomer handcuffed herself to the Twitter headquarters in New York City. Fondly remembering the time Laura Loomer handcuffed herself to the door of Twitter's New York City office, but only to one of the double doors, allowing employees to continue entering and exiting as they pleased. Axios reporter Lachlan Markey recalled after her defeat on Tuesday. The narrow margin in Loomer's loss sparked alarm about how close the fringe extremists came to winning the Republican congressional primary. Yeah, I know. That's kind of fucking terrifying. Former Representative Denver Riggleman, who's a Republican in Virginia, called Loomer an awful radical scumbag who nevertheless received lots of support. Sitting members are or have supported these folks. Unhinged candidates are a disease, he tweeted. Nothing sums up the extremism in the modern GOP right now than this race in Florida, wrote MSNBC hosts Mehdi Hassan. Laura Loomer, a far-right Muslim candidate who was a far-right anti-Muslim candidate who was once banned from CPAC as well as multiple online platforms, should be nowhere close to winning the GOP primary race. Mother Jones's Ali Breland suggested that Loomer might be the first person to ever run a congressional campaign that was about trying to be racist on Twitter. You can't formally measure racism, he wrote, but if you could, Laura Loomer would have had a solid chance of becoming the most publicly racist congressman in a decade if she had won last night. These people... It's insane to me that United States politics has descended to this particular degree, because it just keeps on getting worse. Like, I wholeheartedly believe that Trump was the beginning of something incredibly awful continuing forward. But the seeds that begat Trump, they started before that. A lot of those started back in the Bush administration. But Trump was very much the catalyst. He was the one that let all of the extremists know that they had a place in politics. They had the ability now to go forward and do what they wanted to do. That he was just the accelerant? Yeah, that's... So I'd say Nixon. I would say the Nixon administration, like, if you want to really talk about race, like, racism and issues in the United States, and you're going to be talking about the beginning of the United States, you're going to be talking about that. I'm talking about the specific brands of this that we have right now. I think that a lot of this began in the Bush administration. Like, and I'm not just talking about racism and anti-Muslim shit. I'm talking about the ethno-nationalism of America. I think a lot of that really did begin, like, cementing itself into the soil as opposed to just being an ingredient in the mix with Bush, and then Trump fertilized it and catalyzed it to a point where now we're here. So this Loomer looking at the racist right going, "Notice me, senpai!" Pretty much. This is why people like Nick Fuentes were trying to endorse her. People like Nick should not be allowed anywhere near the door of anything political at all. And yet, people like him, people like Alex Jones, now people like Laura, are constantly gaining more and more footholds in American politics. And it's terrifying. So this is going to be my usual time to tell you to please go and use your, right you have as an American citizen to keep these people out of office. It's a thing that you actually can, do. Welcome to America. This is a thing you have some power over. Exercise it. As always, everybody, let me know what you think in the comment section below, and check out the Patreon and subscribe and all that other fun stuff. As always, everyone, instant end of video tagline here.